Are you ready for the Smackdown review podcast? This is definitely not the second time I've started this show, but my name is Phil Chambers and I am joined by Gareth Morgan. He's actually decided to show up today to talk all things Blue Brand, but before we get into it, make sure to like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, that too on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. Because we do daily wrestling podcasts. We do wrestling podcasts about Raw, wrestling podcasts about Smackdown, wrestling podcasts about NXT, wrestling podcasts about AEW, wrestling podcasts that are roundtable discussions, wrestling podcasts that are interviews, and wrestling podcasts that are roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz on wrestle culture. But this podcast is about Smackdown, and since you weren't here last week, I figured the first thing we can talk about is what you think of Pat McAfee on commentary.
I thought we were just going to roll two podcasts into one, Phil. Let's do a back-to-back edition from last week's and it now. I like Pat McAfee just as a performer, as a personality, big NXT guy, as you know, so I've loved all his work there. This version of Pat McAfee, is it a like-for-like carbon copy? He was obviously playing more of a character in NXT, like he was more of an on-screen personality, so he's never going to be the same. I feel like we're getting more of just his personality, just as a human being, let's say, as a fan of the business. But I think he's doing well. I think he's doing all right. It's one of those things where anybody is going to find that tough, that job, because it's not just a case of you seeing all these other promotions where you just go out there and you just kind of riff, you do whatever you want, do what comes to your mind, so you're not squaring your head off all the way through the broadcast. You're going to be okay. Whereas WWE, you got a guy in your ear 24/7. And to kind of adapt to it as quickly as he has done, and yeah, there's a few times that they overlap and the chemistry is maybe not as there as it was between him and Graves because they've been doing it for how many years together. It's not going to be after 2 weeks, but he's got a lot of potential. The guy's just overloading the charisma. I'm a big fan of him. I hope he just keeps going from strength to strength. But as of now, I think he's had a good little start.
Me too. I think he's toned it down a little bit this week. He wasn't quite as excitable as he was last week, although he still had his moments. Like, was he saying, I think it was in the Rey Mysterio match that he was saying, like, oh, this is the best we've ever seen Rey Mysterio ever. And, like, super excited just because he did, like, I don't know, an arm drag or something.
I think, like, Roman Reigns pops up at some point and he's like, he's the scariest man I've ever seen. I was like, you played NFL. You have people running at you with helmets on.
But he's enthusiastic. He's definitely into it, and he's putting his all into it. And I'm liking him so far. And we'll have to wait and see, I guess, how he settles down into it, because I can't imagine how hard that job is. And people have come out, like even like Mick Foley, fantastic talker, one of the best talkers in the business, like still couldn't quite get it on commentary because of how much like Vince is in your ear all the time, and it like just put him off. So it's gotta be a hard job.
Different skill, isn't it? Like as a performer, I think Edge just said it, like because he was talking about Beth Phoenix just smashing it in recent times. Yeah. So it's a very different thing sitting there as a performer, putting yourself over, putting the other people over a little bit, and just giving it all as a storyline. Sitting there and having to play it. It's a different. You see Daniel Bryan do it when he gets on, because he's all that experience of doing the Cruiserweight Classic. He's natural at everything, Daniel Bryan, but it's just he makes it look easy. It's like I say, it's insanely hard.
But yeah, SmackDown opened with Cesaro in the ring for the first time ever, it seems, that opened a show with Cesaro as the first person you see.
I loved his 20-minute monologue as well, doesn't it?
It was really good. It's a big opening promo. Oh wait, there was no opening promo because Seth came out before he could even say anything. Seth Rollins has new music. We should mention that. What did you think of that?
I feel like he has new music every other week.
I think that was my exact reaction to it. It's like, that's music.
I don't think you can have it. I like Burn It Down. I don't know. I was a big fan of it. It just doesn't suit this character though.
But yeah, they need to get Jim Johnston back or get the CFOs back or whatever, because whoever's doing the music now is nowhere near as good as those guys.
Create a wrestler mode, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Seth comes out and he's there to congratulate Seth Rollins because he's finally fulfilled his potential. And how's he done that? Well, because he was in the ring with Seth at WrestleMania, obviously, and gave him the night of his life. And where's his thanks? Doesn't get any. And now you want to move on from Seth? Well, this isn't over until Seth says it's over. He had a good line about blaming the rain delay for him losing, for putting him off his game, which I quite enjoyed.
No, there was no rain delay. Have you not seen the WWE?
Yeah, that's true. That didn't happen. But then he also went on to say that like Cesaro on his best day like couldn't even beat Seth on his worst day. And Cesaro was like, well, you having a good day now? Because I'm having a great day, so get in this ring, let's go right now. And Seth was like, oh yeah, well, maybe I should teach you a lesson. But before he could teach him a lesson, out comes Jey Uso in full Scrappy-Doo mode, talking about what you doing? You're calling out Roman Reigns, like you don't even deserve to be in the same ring as Roman Reigns. And then Seth has a word with him, and they decide to sort of work together to go and get Cesaro, because he's gonna get got, etc. But before they could get got, Daniel Bryan came out to even the odds. And then Jey Uso and Seth Rollins sort of started walking back away from it all, and Bryan was like, where are you going? Like, I see why everyone's out here. Like, Cesaro came out for a title match against Roman Reigns. Like, Seth, you just came out because you're embarrassed by Seth Rollins, by Cesaro. Jey Uso, you came out probably because Roman Reigns just told you to. But I came out, me being Daniel Bryan, to make sure Cesaro finally gets what he deserves. And that seems like the theme of this episode. Daniel Bryan desperately trying to get Cesaro what he deserves. He talks about having an infinite amount of respect for Cesaro because he works harder than everybody else in the WWE. So, like, what now? Are you going to face us? Because I did like this line. He'd just been running them down, and he's like, what, you're going to face us now? Because I just made some really derogatory comments about you. And I was like, yep, that's just WWE 101 right there. And he's just calling it out in his promo, because Daniel Bryan's really great. But then he's like, oh yeah, you're probably not going to. Like, oh, is Roman Reigns going to come out and accept Cesaro's challenge? Yeah, probably not. Oh, I know, Roman Reigns is going to come out, and then the three of you are going to try and attack us. But then he's like, well, whatever happens, there's no one I'd rather have by my side to go through it than Cesaro. I liked how much he just called out WWE's stock opening promos in this, and made it really entertaining. It's like, just Daniel Bryan's great.
Just tore down. I loved it. Like, there was just so many, I don't know, just like, not even like inside jokes, but just like knowing things where you're just like, oh, I feel like I'm being rewarded for being a fan. Because like, there was the little thing that, oh, Roman could come down. Oh, but he doesn't like wrestling, does he? And that just harked back to he did that Talking Smack thing. He got a couple of months ago. It's just like, I'm here because I like wrestling. Your boy doesn't like wrestling. It's just little things.
He's just the best,
isn't he? He's just the best.
But then out comes Roman Reigns, obviously, and he's saying about how, what, you're out here talking about working hard. And it's like, you should be talking about what happened at WrestleMania, because I told you what was going to happen, and pointed at his new t-shirt, which has Daniel Bryan, which has him with the Stack'em whatever Pinn'em thing, and that's Daniel Bryan at the bottom of it. And
I saw somebody put on Twitter, oh, thanks for teaching us all to perform a threesome. Yeah, that's what somebody put on Twitter. I was like, oh, that's me. There you go. Stack'em, Pinn'em.
He's had some pretty bad t-shirts since he's come back from Roman Reigns.
He just do anytime he says anything, it's just like,
just a weapon and a t-shirt.
If they sell, Phil, if they sell.
Well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, then he called them both like main event losers, but he separated them by saying like Cesaro, he's just like an unlucky loser, but Daniel Bryan, he's a stupid loser because he's out here talking smack when he's surrounded by people who want to whoop his ass. And then it obviously built to Bryan and Cesaro versus Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. They kind of started having a scrap before they went to commercial. But this whole sort of segment of SmackDown lasted for like, what, at least a third of the show. So we may as well break it down into three little sections. Pre-match, match, and then post-match. So what did you think of the pre-match stuff?
Pre-match was a lot of this, and a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about probably after the match as well, felt very Paul Heyman-esque in the way it was booked. It was sticking to the strengths of the people who were in there, like giving Bryan the chance to kind of tear down the establishment, not letting Cesaro over-talk on the mic. Like, he had his moments, he didn't just stand there and just go, oh, well, I'm going to beat you all up. Like, you had a few little digs in there, and then just letting like Seth and Jey just give little scrappy dudes at the side. Like, it was everyone working off the strengths. And then I thought it was quite interesting the dynamic having Roman and Seth together for the first time, like seeing those like just in a frame together. You know what I mean? It was just thinking of no, that's going to play out. And
I liked how Seth wasn't quite accepting it either, like as a thing. He was like, as they kind of went to the match, he was complaining at commentary, going like, they didn't even tell me I was going to be in a match. Like, what is this? Like, he's not on Roman's side because they still hate each other from way back. So I like that they didn't just kind of forget about all of that, and it's still playing in, and Seth is still his own character. He's not just getting washed up by all the Roman Reigns stuff.
Yeah, it's surprisingly subtle. Like, do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where there could have been a temptation just to be like, right, let's see how Seth feels about Roman. He's on his side. It's like, they could have been, we know WWE, like, they just like painting broad strokes half the time. But here it was just like, oh, there's enough to read into it. It could be like, oh, He could be. There's a potential for a turn him and like a feud there going forward, or there's potential for Seth to like play into the plans potentially. He's got his own like stuff to play with. There's so many moving parts in this. It was great, and there's a reason they probably dedicated as much to the show as they did, because look at the people who were involved. It was like, we're going to keep people's attention here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Not much more to add. Daniel Bryan, Sean, like ridiculously, he's just so bloody good. But also every opportunity he's putting Cesaro over through all his promos and everything. Like everything's guided towards putting Cesaro over. It just works. Jey Uso as well, can't be understated. His little Scrappy-Doo character, and like even after this, and like throughout the match, like just that. I just love that Jey Uso character of just everything's gotten to him from the Roman Reigns thing, and he just completely snaps.
It's going to be so interesting seeing how all that kind of develops when Jimmy comes back. I'm really, really intrigued by it, because he's put himself on such a nice little level now, where he is with just part of these great matches, be a little single star in his own right. It's going to be, are they both going to carry that momentum, just be this incredible, just monstrous tag team for a couple of months, or is there going to be a bit of a conflict? The brother versus brother stuff happens. It can hit and miss.
Indeed. It did build into Bryan and Cesaro taking on Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. They kind of had a bit of a scrap, and then we cut to commercial, and then they came back and they were like, they've just been fighting ever since, but the match has been made official, and then the referee finally managed to get them all separated and start the match. And I mean, what do you want me to say? It's Seth Rollins and Jey Uso versus Bryan and Cesaro. Of course, this is going to be really great. They all work really, really well together, and they're very good at pro wrestling. Like I say, Seth was complaining at the beginning because he was told like he wasn't even in the match tonight, so he was still getting his character work done throughout the match, and it was just really, really good fun. I guess bits that stand out, like Cesaro's hot tag, he just kind of went absolutely nuts on Jey Uso. And then he was going to get Jey Uso into the spin, but like Jey Uso managed to block out of it, and then Cesaro somehow managed to get out of that into like a big corkscrew uppercut, and then he went for the neutralizer, but Jey Uso managed to get out of that, but then Cesaro kind of lands on his feet as he was thrown out of it, and just throws Jey Uso up into another uppercut. His uppercuts were flying all over the place. And then like Daniel Bryan did a suicide dive out onto Seth Rollins, and then Cesaro got knocked to the outside by Jey, and then Jey went for a dive but got hit by another uppercut, and then they get back in the ring and Cesaro dives at Jey, but then Jey manages to reverse that into a super kick, and then we go to a second commercial. It really spanned quite a few segments this. And then eventually Cesaro got Seth Rollins in the sharpshooter, and Jey broke it up with a super kick, and then he went up top to get to dive onto Cesaro, but he gets hit with another bloody uppercut all over the place. And during all this sort of fracas, Seth Rollins just got really, really annoyed with the situation and just walked off, going like, this isn't me, I'm better than this, blah blah blah, walked off, leaving Jey Uso, poor Jey Uso, leaving him on his own to get superplexed. And then Cesaro tagged in Daniel Bryan, hits the running knee, and gets the 1-2-3. Really, really fun match. Like I say, all these guys just work way too well together, and they're all way too good at this for it not to be a good match. Only thing, if I'm going to be really, really, really nitpicky, is I wonder why Cesaro didn't get the pin. It seems like a no-brainer to give Cesaro the pin, and they gave it to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, my only justification for that is the stuff that happens later.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it's like if you put in Cesaro, it just doesn't make sense. Like Daniel Bryan didn't need that. It's really nitpicking in terms of how great that match was. It just seems like an odd choice.
Yeah, it could have given Cesaro more of a reason to be a bit like, I just got to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I agree. It would have been a more interesting story beat to do that. But I'll be honest, folks, coming out of this, all I can think, is it too much to ask for a round-robin tournament with these four? Is it too much for the number one contendership for the Universal Championship? Just have them fight every week in a little table. Whoever wins gets like 3 points. Whoever loses gets like no points. Just do that like they do with the NXT thing with the interim Cruiserweight Championship. Do that with these four. Like, it's just... every one of them has brilliant chemistry with the other person, and it's just, it would just make for magic. And this did, like I said, there's a reason they did give this much time over to them, because they were brilliant. It's just that four guys are at the peak of the powers right now, and there was just some magic. I've never seen so many like uppercuts just delivered with that kind of precision and just velocity. And then Bryan started getting on the act. Bryan was just, I'm going to do uppercuts as well. This is how he's doing it. It's just, I love it. These guys can just rip, and you can tell that's what a lot of it probably was. It was like, should we do that? Should we play with this now? And Cesaro's sharpshooter is now officially good, well, it's strong enough and terrifying enough to make you could quit mid-match now. I mean,
Yeah.
stop it. Great match, enjoyed it.
As well, it's like Cesaro, he's still not there, like at the sort of main event level with his promos and things. But I think, like you say at the beginning of it, like they saved that quite well by just giving him a few lines and not overexposing him. But as soon as he steps between those rings and the bell goes, like everything he does is absolutely top tier and just shows why he should be in the position he's in and why he should be getting this big push. He's just absolutely incredible, and it just boggles your mind every single time. Like he'll have something new, whether it's something really small, like just a new way to hit an uppercut, or just some insane feat of strength. There's always something in there that's just like, my God, Cesaro is good at this.
And it's one of those things where it's like his promo ability. It's a combination of a few things where it's like some of it might be confidence because it's in like when you're in the spotlight, properly in the spotlight like that, it can be a bit like, oh, okay, got the chance to go for it. Yeah. And the more you do it, the more reps. So the more he's in that position, the better he'll get. But then equally, he knows about 10 languages.
I know.
Could you imagine?
And English is his second language. It's not actually his first language.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine how many different things are going through your head where you're just trying to like establish one sentence. You've got like 10 different ways of doing it in your brain. I can't understand that. How difficult that must be. So it's like, give the guy a break. He does pretty well.
So that's like 2 out of 3 of these segments because it carried on even after this because Daniel Bryan got on the mic. And I really enjoyed this as a segment too. Daniel Bryan, again, shone so much in this. He was really, really entertaining. And he basically just started baiting Roman Reigns, just going, oh, Roman, like, weren't we supposed to get whooped? Like, was that not what you were talking about? And like, while he was doing it, Jey Uso kind of came in to try and attack from behind, but Cesaro got the better of him and started swinging him round. And like, Bryan was like counting the swings, and then he got hit by an uppercut and things. And all while this was happening, like Daniel Bryan was just sort of shouting at Roman Reigns, going, "Oh, what's going on? Like, is Roman going to come out? Are you going to come out and accept Cesaro's challenge?" Like, "Oh no, he's not. You're not going to come out and save your cousin. So much for being a family man, eh? Let's swing him again and see if Roman Reigns comes out." So he swings him round again, and it's like Bryan's just shouting, like, "Jey saved you in every single Universal title match you've had, and you're not going to help him? What? Are you afraid? Like, what is this? I know you couldn't beat Kevin Owens without Jey Uso. Like, you knew you couldn't beat me without Edge. You knew you couldn't beat Edge without Jey Uso. Like, I think Roman Reigns was afraid. I think he thinks he can't beat Cesaro." Just kept on baiting him while they were just swinging for Jey Uso round and round and round. What happens? Roman Reigns doesn't come out at the end and proves their point. This was just really good fun. And again, just Daniel Bryan firing on all cylinders on the mic.
Just a bunch of bullies, Phil Chambers. I expected better of you. So much better. I felt really uncomfortable watching this. Poor Jey just not playing around.
Poor Jey.
Like shouting out the swings. I've lost count of how many swings. I was like, "You're bullies. You're both bullies." No, you're right. It was brilliant tactics. It was just clever. It's just exposing Reigns, and if anything, it puts him in that position where he's like, "I've got to pull out a trump card at the end of this show and really reassert myself as the powerful force." So I loved it.
It really informs what happens at the end of the show, this, which we'll get to.
It's through the night storytelling. It's what this Smackdown brand's been kicking ass at all year. I love it.
So yeah, as a whole, I think that was like, I think it's probably more than a third of Smackdown was all just that one segment on its own. And yeah, absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Just look at really, really good stuff. How is Raw and Smackdown written by the same company?
No idea, but I feel like they're kind of taking on what we say every week about the main event kind of anchoring Smackdown. Like, they normally bookends it, and the beginning and the end of the show is normally the best parts of it. So they've gone, all right, we'll make the beginning of the show really long then. So if you really like it. Yeah, it works for me.
And then next up we had Adam Pearce and Sonja Deville backstage, and Apollo kind of barges in and Sonja just kind of wanders off. And Apollo's annoyed that he's going to have to face Big E again at some point, and talking about winning the IC title at WrestleMania. And Adam Pearce is like, well, yeah, you will. When Big E's cleared, you will have to face him again, but tonight you're going to have to face Kevin Owens. And it was just a bit of a weird thing to set up that match, I guess. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah, not much more to add. It was just like, oh, that's coming tonight. Yeah.
Yep. They could have done it with a match graphic, but instead they did it with this. Fair enough, whatever. And then we had Jey Uso backstage with Kayla Braxton, and he's not a happy Jey Uso, is he? He kind of doubles down on the, what's all this like disrespect from Cesaro? Like, you're gonna step to the head of the table, you're gonna get put down, boy. But he's not like, he's still fighting Roman's battles, even in a losing situation, and after what just happened, Daniel Bryan and Cesaro calling out all of Roman Reigns is bull crap. But he's still fighting Roman's battles. He's still got his back.
He's just been brainwashed to the point of repair at this. Yeah, that's where we're at now. Poor Jay, he can't see the forest through the trees. Bless him.
Yeah. But next up, we had a brand new match that we've never seen before on Smackdown ever, because we had Nia Jax versus Tamina.
My soul. Ow.
Reginald is back as well, so that's something to look forward to.
Can I get a pop out of you, Phil Chambers? Yeah, make your Friday.
Not anymore. They've ruined all my pots for Reginald. I'm sorry. And yeah, this was copy and paste from every single week of the women's tag team titles for the last 3 months.
We could literally just say that and everyone would understand exactly what I mean. Like, that's the position. You took the words out of my mind. I was like, yeah, seen this before.
Before we go any further, though, this podcast is brought to you by HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. It is perfect for your busy schedule. 10 to 20-minute meals, low prep recipes, and quick breakfast and lunches too. There is something for everyone to enjoy with over 25 recipes to choose from each week. Get this, HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than grocery shopping and 72% cheaper than a restaurant meal without sacrificing the quality. Look, they sent me some stuff to try, and it really is unbelievable. Delicious food, time-saving recipes, and simple, easy-to-follow instructions even I couldn't get wrong. This week alone, we have had Herbie burgers, chicken and plum noodles, and a steak that was to die for. All on the table, 30 minutes or less. So what are you waiting for? Go to hellofresh.com/WCW12 and use code WCW12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/WCW12 and use code WCW12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping.
If anything as well, after all of these sort of interference spots and distractions, you'd think they'd be getting a bit better at it, but no, there was like really sloppy interference in this by Shayna Baszler, where she kind of went to grab Tamina's leg. Well, Tamina was kind of going to slam Nia Jax, but she like was supposed to grab her leg so she couldn't lift her up, but like she kind of touched her leg and then like stopped it, and then they kind of repeated the spot, and it was just really awkward.
It was just messy, like large parts of the match.
Almost like they don't even care themselves. I don't blame them, to be honest. But after that, Tamina proved that there ain't nobody meaner than Tamina, obviously, and started beating the crap out of Nia Jax, like kicked her to the outside, like she was throwing her into the barricade repeatedly. But then Reginald gets up on the apron, and Nia Jax sort of went to take advantage, but then Shayna got annoyed that Reginald had got on the apron, and Shayna getting annoyed at Reginald doing a distraction for Nia Jax distracted Nia Jax to the point where Tamina super kicked Nia, but then still had to roll Nia Jax up for a quick roll up after a super. Why couldn't she just hit a move and win?
Yeah, it was like Nia Jax took a long time. She was like, "What are you doing? What, guys?
Yeah,
guys, what are you doing?" It's just like, "Turn around, stupid fool."
Yeah, it was really bad. I don't know what happens more. I'm really bored of all of this. We need something new in this. Like, stop. Nobody wins in these situations at all. Tamina doesn't look any better for having to do a quick roll-up after, like, 3 distractions in a match. And Nia Jax looks like an idiot because she had the match won and then was distracted by the distraction. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's like whenever this threatens to get interesting, like they were putting over how Tamina got this big reaction of 25,000 fans, and I was like, oh, maybe we're going to get a weird thing now where we get like a lot of hype behind Tamina and she goes on a tear. Well, why not? Why not? We're not doing anything else. It's going to be tear. Yeah, but no, we're not doing that. And it's like with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, like there's a few moments where you're like, oh, things going to spill over and boil over and they get really aggressive and violent. No, they're just going to keep bickering over Reginald. It's like, Don't get your hopes up with this. I think that's the sad reality of it.
We just need to move on from this. We need to get some, I was going to say get some new women into the tag team division, but they've fired a bunch that could have been perfect for it. it's bad. It's the same thing every single week. No one looks any stronger. Like, if you're gonna put Tamina over Nia Jax, just have her win. How about just, even if you still want to do the distraction, do that, but then at least let her hit the Samoan drop or something and get a definitive 1-2-3 rather than a super kick and a roll up. Nobody comes out of it stronger. Shayna Baszler looks stupid because she's bad at interfering in matches, and then also cost her tag team partner the match. Nia Jax looks like an idiot for what happened at the end. Natalya just did absolutely nothing. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, this division's just not succeeded in making anybody. That's the thing. It's just not making anyone who got involved in it. It's just like drag you down. It's just not. Nah. Failing experiment at this point.
Absolutely, bad stuff needs fixing ASAP. And then next up, it was Caleb Braxton backstage with Kevin Owens, and he was surprised and like thrilled to get a title shot at Apollo for the IC title. He's not had one in like over a year or something, and like plenty of people want to knock him off his royal perch. But in comes Big E, calling him a line jumper, saying that this is my match and my title, and Caleb's like, well, yeah, it might be, but tonight it's my match, and when I win, it's going to be my title. Now, two things from this. One, didn't Adam Pearce say earlier that Big E wasn't cleared and that's why he wasn't getting the match yet? And then yet you still have Big E coming in this, which makes absolutely no sense either way. Two, can we please have Kevin Owens versus Big E? I didn't realise how much I wanted that until like the end of this promo when they were kind of laughing at each other, and I was like, oh, that would be really good.
Yeah, and to like jump off both of those points, the first one, like, I just think it just highlights a real lack of communication between the management team and the actual wrestlers there. It's just like, oh no, you're not medically clear. It's like, no, I don't care. It's like, just seems like two people being given two different like scripts beforehand. But equally, the end game was you're not getting your match tonight. Yeah. And then with the KO Big E stuff, we've seen people online being like, oh, does this mean that Big E's turning heel? I don't like that. And I'm like, I don't think it is. It's just two highly competitive baby faces. I'm up for that. Like, it doesn't make me feel like strongly against either one of them. It's like, no, they both really want the belt. That's the idea. Like, I'm up for that. And then after it, they could both just shake hands and be like, yeah, cool, right, good match, man. Let's move on. Like, they're those kind of characters where that would work.
Yeah. This seems as well, like, I'll get more into this later, but it feels like we're going back to the IC title sort of division of the card that we had like a couple of months ago, like back when Big E was the champion. There was loads of people fighting around the IC title, and there was like lots of opportunities, and then for a bit they kind of just forgot about it and didn't put much focus on it over like the course of, because of like Fastlane and then WrestleMania, and now hopefully we're getting back to it and building a bit of a division around it. And
I think it was like, I think they had the feud, didn't they, for Mania? Right, that's where they go in, because there's no point messing around. And it was like, you're going to give KO and Sami Zayn that thing. Whereas now, like you said, like there's that many people you can buy for. I like the idea of it being that, just this title where you get a couple wins behind your belt, boom, you're in, you can go for it. It's just the working man's belt.
Absolutely. Next up, we had Daniel Bryan with Adam Pearce backstage as well, and he was just basically saying that, oh, you're going to make this Cesaro versus Roman Reigns match a thing. And Adam Pearce was like, come on, we both know it's not that simple. I'll try though. And Daniel Bryan just stared at him and was like, do more than try.
He does have a play in the writing room, don't forget this.
Indeed.
We'll make them put them in that match.
And then it was the match between Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews. It was quickly on Kevin Owens' entrance, it kind of looked like the cameraman just kind of fell asleep and just gave up filming for a second. It was really odd.
I thought my TV had done something weird. I was like, oh god, somebody like the feed falling off or something. It's just someone fell asleep. Like, imagine he was in his headset going, no, change camera, got somebody else. It's broken.
It's very rare you get big production mishaps like that in WWE because they're very good at it. And yeah, it was just really strange. But again, obviously, Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. If anything, I've come out of this match thinking, oh my god, these guys have really good chemistry together. Let's do more with this. This is fun. Even if the sort of finish is, I guess, what you can expect. But yeah, the match itself was really, really good fun, like I say. I guess the biggest point to talk about is like Apollo Crews went to like hit a moonsault from the apron to the outside, but like misses, but still lands on his feet, but then gets super kicked. Kevin Owens rolls him in, hits the swanton bomb, but as he was pinning him, who would come out but Sami Zayn to interrupt? And then it kind of goes to commercial, and then when we come back, Sami Zayn has joined the commentary team, and it's just talking about how he's having loads of legal issues with his documentary and he's trying to get it released, but Logan Paul's kind of ruined it all.
Yeah, he has ruined it. He ruined WrestleMania for me, that man.
Yeah. But yeah, then the match itself, again, really, really fun stuff from Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews. They just work really, really well together. There's like a bunch of like a huge release German suplex that Kevin Owens just throws him across the ring and then like hits him with 2 cannonballs in the corners, and then they're like trading reversals back and forth, like super kicks into like pop-up power bombs and gets a 2 count off that. And then the finish boils around to Kevin Owens goes up top because he's going to dive onto Apollo Crews again, but Apollo Crews rolls to the outside, and then KO changes his mind and hits a frog splash to the outside instead, rolls Apollo Crews in. Just when you think he's got the match wrapped up, Commander Aziz gets up on the apron, the exact same side of the apron that Reginald has just done this exact same thing in, gets a roll up with pretty much the exact same camera angle as they filmed it in the women's match, and gets the 1, 2, 3 from a distraction. 2 in a row. That's pretty much copy and paste.
Yeah, that's like mid-show deja vu is never a good thing. That's it was. How are we feeling about Commander Aziz? We've not really had a chance to unpack this.
That's true. I'm kind of into him. I'm not gonna lie. It's still really weird that they're just completely ignoring his entire past history of 2 other characters that they've had on the show. But I'm into him being the sort of muscle for Apollo Crews. It gives more options around the IC title, because like you've got to go through Commander Aziz before you go through Big E, and I always like stuff like that for heel champions. And yeah, I think it could be a good thing for Commander Aziz, as we're calling him now, in the future, of just sort of working with a guy who in ring is as amazing as Apollo Crews, and yeah, get him a spot on the card and have him learn his craft. I think it's all good.
No, I think this is finally that long-term storytelling that has been a seed that was planted some time ago when we had Apollo Crews sat backstage with Roman Reigns having a bit of a conversation. I finally think I know what that conversation was now. You need to get a right-hand man, mate.
You need a Scrappy-Doo. They're really handy.
Yeah, that's a big old Scrappy-Doo. That's a big Scrappy-Doo. So yeah, I feel like, but I like that. I mean, even if that's not the case and that was not the inspiration, I can see those parallels now going, oh, okay, you've seen this big character and how he's kind of gone about his work, and gosh, I'll go down a similar route. And it's, like you said, it's great, always having like a secondary boss that you have to go through to get to the big bad boss. And I just love Apollo Crews. Like, WWE have kind of got this embarrassment of riches in terms of heels right now, that they have all these incredible performers that can all go in the ring, and brilliant performers, but then they still get out of these matches through like kind of wily means, you know what I mean? So it's like they can go and they're legit, so they can have as many of these stupid finishes as they want. You can still sit there and go, okay, yeah, Apollo Crews can probably beat anyone. Look at the guy, he's doing backflips, standing moonsaults. Look at the size of him, he can do a standing moonsault. It's ridiculous, but then he can still get away with just having to wiggle his way out of it. It's an odd kind of dynamic that they have right now with all they go. Same with Sami Zayn, people like that, like steal victories, but you're like, still Sami bloody Zayn, look what he can do. It's, yeah, that mid-card on Smackdown is just frightening in comparison to what Raw have got right now, like what's going on around their US title scene. Like it's
ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely different worlds.
After the match as well, we should say, Kevin Owens got straight back in the ring, stunned Apollo Crews, but then got grabbed by Commander Aziz, who hit the Nigerian nail. It's also the Samoan spike, just with a slightly different name.
As soon as I saw the thumb go up, I thought, I know what's going down here.
All very copy and paste. And then Sami Zayn, being the genius man that he is, got very excited by this, jumped into the ring and started dancing over Kevin Owens' downed body, because he's got to sell some of those Sami Dancing for Syria shirts that he's got on Pro Wrestling Tees at the minute.
That's it. That was my only like the way I was going to forgive this. I thought, oh, this is typical WWE overdoing something now because it's got a little bit over online. No, yeah. Sami's selling T-shirts and for a good cause. Oh, God. Sami, keep dancing, buddy. Dance all the way to the top.
But yeah, again, like I say, the match itself, absolutely can't fault. 2 of them, really, really good. Really don't need 2 distraction finishes in a row on a show, though. What's wrong with just giving Apollo Crews a win in that situation?
They need whiteboard, Phil, like apparently what AEW you've got backstage.
They really do.
You see those 2 X's and go, let's change that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Next up, we had Kayla Braxton, who was backstage with Paul Heyman, saying, like, are we going to get an answer tonight? And Paul Heyman was talking about, Cesaro's great. He loves Cesaro in a professional sort of way. Cesaro, out of all the Cesaros in the world, Cesaro is his favourite Cesaro. But he's going to give a spoiler for the end of the night, because at the end of the night, Roman will give his answer to Cesaro. And you know what? It was a spoiler, because he does.
Yeah, it's coming. I mean, I was intrigued. I want to see what's going to happen in that big tribal chief tonight.
Indeed. Then we had our new backstage interviewer, Megan Mordaunt, backstage with a very excited Apollo Crews.
I was going to say, this is a trial by fire, big time. There you go.
It really was.
On cloud nine.
Gets thrown in with an incredibly over-enthusiastic version of Apollo Crews, which I thought was really absolutely entertaining. He was super excited about winning his match, talking about how Commander Aziz is now backstage cleaning the tears off of the royal lance from Kevin Owens, and going like, oh, what's that sound? Oh, it's the sound of the ancestors jumping in celebration. Just going really over the top with it. Kind of liked it, not gonna lie. But before he could like get through everything, Big E storms in and almost takes out poor Megan while he was doing it. Slams him into a wall, like chucks him down, starts beating him up. Loads of refs and people start to come in, breaks it all up, and then out comes bloody Commander Aziz, way too late, kind of does a double take at what's happened, and then goes down and is like, oh, Apollo, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he just does the typical kind of the camera zooming in, now make a grimacing face. Very intimidating, very good at it. It was, I mean, the more I see this Apollo Crews character, and the more I see him kind of like going to extreme emotions while still maintaining that accent, the actor within me is very impressed. Because when you get to that kind of range where you're like screaming and shouting, it's very easy just to dip into your own voice and get carried away. He's still going for it. I've got, like, the more and more he keeps going with this character and the further he takes it, I think he's brilliant. I think it's just been a revelation for him. He's impressing me week after week, and I think
we just kind of felt like he's got really comfortable with this character over the weeks, but like for some reason there was just something about how he did it in this one, because it was a little bit more over the top and like he was excited and smiley. It just felt like a lot more comfortable for him. It just felt like the first time it felt like it was him, if that makes sense. Like truly that's just Apollo Crews. And like,
I like seeing it.
He is that person now.
Do you know what I mean? I think you get more of a sense of that. Like, you can do all the monologues where you stood on your own. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kick all your asses. I'm the prince, or whatever it is. That's fine. But I like it when you see him up against another character, when you see him properly going back and forth to something like, okay, now I know what makes you tick. Now I know what makes you laugh and what makes you want to kick someone's head in. It's great. I think more of that stuff.
Absolutely. And so, supposedly we are getting that match next week. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow gets pushed back to WrestleMania Backlash, because that's the point of it, I guess. Anyway, next up, Alistair Black is back on Smackdown, and he's cutting a promo, and I'll just kind of go through what he said, and then we can talk about the presentation of it afterwards, because he was in a darkened room with a bunch of candles and things, because it's Alistair Black, of course he was. But he was talking about how he's going to sort of tell this story, and it's like chapter 1, the dragon, and he talked about how he attended lots of funerals as a child. I'm not quite sure why he was going to lots of funerals as a child. These like big celebrations of life and death, and then like as he grew older, like his father became distant, and then he finally figured out that he wasn't taught how to defeat the dragon, he was taught how to become the dragon, and he could never be like you weak-minded fools. Talking about us people gawking at the screen, we're monsters, what we do is vile, and we should be condemned, we should be scorched from the earth like rotting crops to make way for more fertile things. But he delivered it really, really well. I thought this is something we said on the news that he's been trying out on Instagram quite a lot since he's not been used on TV, so he's had a lot of spare time. And it feels like it's something that's coming from him. He's got his little sort of murder glasses on that you see all of the serial killers on Netflix documentaries wearing. He looks very much like the cult leader out of, is it Fallout 4?
My
hair looks a lot like him. Fallout 4 or 5, I can't remember which one. He just delivers it with conviction as well, because it's just a lot of the blackness and kind of thing he does. But also they put over the story part, like all these animations of like puppets and fire, and it just looked really, really nice. Like all of this was put together so well, and like the animation style was something we've not really seen from WWE before. It really made it stand out, and it looked like it wouldn't be out of place in a Hollywood movie. That like scene, it was really, really good.
That's what made it pop for me. It's one of those where I'm a sucker for a good visual. You know what I mean? It's one of if it feels fresh and feels new, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to go, oh, this is interesting, because it's just new. I like new. New's different. And I'm still a little bit confused. I know I'm probably supposed to be confused at this point. The first one, and it's one of those things where it keeps up and keeps coming back next week going, I need to find out more about this, because this is all a bit unusual and strange. He's the dragon. He's saying he's been taught how to become the dragon. I'm like, is that like the dragon as part of a cult? Like, is the dragon like the leader of this cult, or is he an actual dragon? Because we've seen that on NXT recently, where like Tian Sha turned up and she was trained by a dragon apparently, and she's like a 1,000-year-old just warrior lady. So in WWE, in the line of WWE, dragons exist, Phil. So he might be a dragon for all we know. And if that is the case, we've just missed WrestleMania. He could have walked out as a dragon. That would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing. Maybe that's what they're building to. Next year, WrestleMania, Alistair Black flying out on a dragon.
Yeah, Finn Balor against Alistair Black, the demon against the dragon.
But yeah, I hope this goes somewhere this time for Alistair Black. He's had sort of a patchy going on the main roster, let's say. And like you said on the news, we've not seen him since like October when he first got drafted to Smackdown, and then they never used him. So that's a complete waste of a draft pick. You stupid fucks robots, you. I assume it's still them doing the draft picks.
What happened to his eye as well? Because I'm sure his eye got pretty badly done in. He wears glasses now.
To be fair, he's had plenty of time for it to get better.
I think that's what's inspired the glasses look for me. That's it. Got some damaged retina.
And next up, we had a really weird segment that made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, but it was Kayla Braxton backstage with the Dirty Dogs, and she started off by kind of asking them who was going to win in the match between the Mysterios and the Alpha Academy tonight. And it was really pointless. Dolph Ziggler did all the promo, basically just saying how he has like great chemistry with Rey Mysterio or something, but he's gonna have to pick the Alpha Academy because, hey, like amateur wrestlers, street cred, we stick together. And then Kayla was like, oh, so who's next for the Dirty Dogs? And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter who's next. But then obviously they get interrupted because it's WWE and in comes the Street Profits, and like, how about we got next? And I was like, pretty sure you've lost every single time you've had a chance, Street Profits. Why should you be next? And then Dolph Ziggler was like, oh, it's take back season. Take your asses to the back. Jokes. He got all the jokes. All of that. Pretty bad and didn't make any sense. And then Bayley came in, I guess, to save the SmackDown men's tag team division by just being Bayley, and was like, oh, you can cut the tension with the knife, and then basically just pushed them all away and took over the complete promo.
Yes, because she is the biggest star in that ring at that point, so she can do whatever she wants.
Makes no sense. Love Bayley, she's great. But the tag team stuff just feels like we're going to be going round and round and round and round and round in circles with this for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm worried they're going to set themselves up now. I think they've heard us saying, yeah, it's his greatest division. They go, okay, we'll just rest on our laurels then for the next 6 months.
You like this division? You'll have it forever. Don't forget, it's here forever. So yeah, and then Bayley completely took it over and was talking about her opponent at WrestleMania Backlash. It was obviously going to be Bianca Belair, the ungrateful rookie Bianca Belair, I should say. And Bayley was talking about how she helped Bianca when she first came into SmackDown, like graciously allowed her to work with me, and like now she's our champ and I never even got a thank you. Bianca's rude and she's selfish and she's spoiled, and she's gonna make her regret treating her that way, and she's gonna take a title back and a spot at the top of the division that she built. Now go tell Bianca that. And then in comes Montez Ford, and he's on the phone with Bianca, and he's like, oh, Bayley really has your name in your mouth tonight. Come on, Montez, don't be that guy. Snitches get stitches.
Hey, the husband, he gets stitches if he doesn't snitch.
What a tattletale. Bloody Montez Ford. And then, yeah, Bianca's like, what? I'll be right there. And then we cut away, and when we come back, it is Bayley and Bianca. And Bianca's like, say it to my face. And Bayley's like, what? You won't think I won't repeat myself? And Bayley's like, will you? Bianca's like, will you? And Bayley's like, I will. And Bianca's like, you won't. And then Bayley completely turns around and was like, oh, okay, well, I was just kind of wanting to congratulate you for making history at Mania. Like, it'll be an honor to be your first challenger at WrestleMania Backlash. You showed everyone that you are the EST, like the way you picked up Sasha and walked up those stairs. It's absolutely incredible. It's going to be an honor to wrestle you. And then walks away. And Bianca looks really, really confused and was like, well, that's not what I was expecting. And then Bayley comes back and she's like, oh, and one more thing. And then just bursts out laughing in her face. And Bayley's back. Because Bayley's the best. I love Bayley. And then she walks off just laughing in hysterics.
I say she didn't have to do a big thing going, I didn't mean it. I said that she just needs to laugh. Bayley,
Yeah.
like, we get the point. It's like, yeah, Bayley being Bayley. This feels like some way of trying to salvage the absolute shit show that was her WrestleMania. I don't know what a WrestleMania was. We've not had a chance to talk about that. What the hell did they do to our girl? It's just, and they're like, yeah, they're probably gonna have a great match, but you've kind of robbed her of being in front of that crowd and the Oh, she would have got in that match.
Maybe that's what they were scared of. They were scared of her getting too big a pop.
Still got him. They got the Bellas booed out of the bloody stadium because they had it. Oh, it was a mess. And like, I don't know what this means now for Sasha. It's like, because we saw her last week. She had like that backstage thing where she was just fuming. Like a battle scar from the whip. The whip hurled it around the world. I literally heard it live from Newcastle, which is frightening. Like, I opened my window, I thought thunder and lightning was happening. It's frightening. So I don't know if that just means she's out of that for a bit. She's fine. You can bring her back maybe in a couple of weeks, couple of months, and she could just be like a resurgent challenger. That's cool. But Bayley's, it's so bittersweet. You know what I mean? Should have happened. Like, should have had a bigger moment before this. Like, she's gonna kill it, but she's just been robbed.
It's like it's fine. I'm okay with this as a thing. It's going to be a great match. Let's face it. I'd love to see the little rivalry backstage that Bayley and Sasha have as to who can get the best match out of Bianca Belair, which I'm pretty sure they'll probably have. And yeah, I think it's going to be really good fun. Bayley as a character is great every single time she's on TV, but yeah, like you say, we couldn't we have had her just beat anyone at WrestleMania and then say, well, like, I'm on a winning streak, let's do this, rather than just so many times in WWE the championship match is made because someone just walks up to a champion and goes, I have a title shot, and they're like, yeah, go. And that's pretty much it. Instead of like earning things or like having logical stories that go into things, it's just, this is next, and off we go.
This wasn't even announced on the show, was it? Was it announced before?
I don't know.
I saw loads of reports saying it had just been like sent to people.
Maybe it was just announced, yeah.
He's coming. It's like, what? What?
I mean, in fairness, this is already probably better than the build to Bianca versus Sasha.
Yeah, shorter the better for WWE. I think give them time to crap the bed.
So I'm hoping Bayley can get something great. Well, I know Bayley can get something great out of Bianca in terms of the match. I'm just hoping that, the build is a little bit better than what they gave for Sasha and Bianca. But considering how, like, the reports of WWE being incredibly high on Sasha and Bianca, I assume that isn't going to be the end of it. And even if this builds to a triple threat match at some time, that's going to be fire as well. Like, there's a lot of good things that can come out of this. They just need to sort the building between the matches, because that's where they had issues last time.
Yeah, completely agree. Sort the steps in between.
Next up, it was the Mysterious versus the Alpha Academy in a brand new match that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
It was really good though, because of course it was. Alpha Academy running wild against Dominic in the early going. Otis just using his power. Gable just out wrestling him. And then Gable had him in like some belly to belly, like did overhead belly to belly, and then kind of rolled through holding onto it, and then another one, and then rolled through holding onto it into a German, and then threw him. But Dominic managed to land on his feet, and then got Ray to get the hot tag, and Ray went wild. Gable had him on the top rope and was about to do like a big gut buster, but Ray managed to reverse it into a top rope Hurricane Rana. Tags Dominic in. Gable gets thrown over the top rope, but like lands on the apron, and then Ray does like a baseball slide underneath him, but grabs his legs as he's going down to pull him down, and then Dominic does like a sliding sunset powerbomb into the ring barriers on the outside. Really, really good. Tags Ray back in. He gets Gable in the 619 position, and then Dominic dives out at Otis, but Otis catches him and goes to slam him into the ring post, but Dominic gets out of that, and then as Otis is charging at him, he goes over the top of the announce table. Rey Mysterio hits the 619, hits the Bug Bust, gets the 1-2-3. The Mysterios have won. I assume we're going to do the Mysterios versus the Dirty Dogs for the titles at some point. Still wondering why they didn't just do it at WrestleMania and have the big pop with the live crowd and the fantastic feel-good moment.
Yeah, we know it's coming. It's inevitable. Like, the amount of times they put over on commentary saying, it's the first time we've had a father-son unit together, first time champions would be really cool. It's like, yes, it would. It would have been really cool a couple of weeks ago. It's fine. It's just doing it in front of some LED screens instead. Yeah. I do love the fact that Pat McAfee pops out like a madman every time the 619 comes. It's great.
He does, he loves it.
Yeah. Like, here it comes again. Like, it's alright, Pat, it's alright. It is good. It is good.
But at least we got a clean finish, so there is that.
Yeah, I mean, that's small bar.
Again, I think we need something to freshen up this tag team division, just like the women's one. Because, like, there are 4 teams there that you can build a division around, but it feels like the way they've done it is they've just already given us all the matches in like 4 weeks of television.
Yeah, there's no real story. It was like, this is just being a dick to Ray.
Yeah.
Squashing Ray a bit. And then...
To be fair, like, Otis is playing the heel character really well, I feel. It makes no sense that they did it in the first place. He's just such a likeable character. But, like, he does feel like he's got a viciousness that he didn't have before. and like that sort of anger and presence that he didn't quite have before. So he is playing into it quite well, and they are still entertaining at the Alpha Academy. They're just too good at wrestling not to be.
That's it. Like you said, the actual division's entertaining. It's just like, I feel like they've blown the load a bit coming into WrestleMania, building towards this big four-way, and we're like, yeah, here we go, and now he's going to get out on Smackdown. It's like, great, anticlimax.
And then the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs match that you've been building to for, 3 months? With the Dirty Dogs having the solo cuts all the time and making fun of them. They just threw away on last week's episode of Smackdown. There's things that you can build to and have payoffs. It's called wrestling.
Yeah, it's like one week they get really interested in the tag division, next week they're like, it'll be alright, we'll do this instead. So.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely not as bad as the women's tag team division though, we'll say that. Weirdly enough, out as sort of Dominic and Ray were celebrating at the end, out comes Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, kind of applauding them, I guess, to move on to the next thing, because they're like, yeah, tag over now, let's just get to the main event angle. And it was Cesaro when he was in the ring, calling out Roman Reigns. Obviously, Roman Reigns comes out, and he has a bit of a stare down with Cesaro, and Roman Reigns was just an absolute badass in all of this, pretty much. He just sort of stared at with Cesaro right in his face. He's like, you don't deserve to be in the ring with me. Like, the answer's no. It will always be no. You will never be on my level. End of story. Brilliant. And then he's like, the Universal Champ is the one who wishes the challenges around here, and he has got one, but it's to you. And like turns to face Daniel Bryan. He's like, I don't like you. I have never liked you. I will never like you. You can have one more opportunity at this title. What do you say? And Cesaro's like, you have to take it. Like, give Bryan the mic. Like, you have to take it. And Roman, before he could take it, is like, but when you lose, I don't ever want to see your face again. I don't want to see you on my show. I don't never want to see you on Smackdown. That's it. You're done here. And Daniel Bryan accepts. And then we get a stare down and yes chance, and the match graphic comes up, because next week we are getting Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Loser leaves Smackdown, I guess, match. And like, what a cliffhanger kind of thing to end on, and actually make you want to come back for next week's Smackdown. What a crazy idea to end a TV show on a hook that makes you want to watch the next episode of that TV show.
Yeah, it's just, you can't say like, oh, it's inspired. It's just what you should be doing.
Yeah.
it works. It's so simply done. I mean, it's one of those matches where you literally can't. You don't want to call the outcome. I think it's a case of I can kind of call the outcome. I don't want to call it, because I like Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, and I don't want him to go anywhere else unless it's NXT for a bit.
Yeah, that's true. I think NXT is the only place I'd want to see him. I don't think even Daniel Bryan could withstand the stink of Raw right now. But it's like, it's all the things that's going on behind this as well. Like, Daniel Bryan's been doing a bunch of interviews recently about saying how he's kind of a little bit burnt out, and like he had a weird sort of out-of-body experience at WrestleMania, and it was the first time he's ever sort of felt like that in a wrestling ring, and he's like questioning whether he's done. And then he's also talking about all these other people in all these other companies that he also wants to wrestle at some point. So it's like, is all of that just a work because he knew this was coming and it's going to be some kind of massive swerve, or is it quite simply as Daniel Bryan is a little bit burnt out and wants a bit of time off? Or is it just WWE wanting to mix up the shows and put him over to Raw to desperately try and save that sinking ship?
There's
I don't know.
To it. Like, because it's like you said, like he'd said all this stuff in, what was it, like October of last year, when he was saying like, I'm kind of winding down a bit now. I'm not going to be anywhere near the main event.
Yeah.
So he's putting people over. Gets in the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's like, and then he's come out and said, I didn't want that. And it's like, but you're still there.
And even in the build to that, he made sure to let everybody know, it's like, this could be my last ever WrestleMania. And it's like, is this just too much foreshadowing for it to not be a big swerve? I just don't know.
I mean, if it was anybody but Daniel Bryan, I'd be a bit like, it might be a swerve, but he is just a family man. That isn't a character. That isn't just a script he's reading off. Like, he's like Kevin Owens or like Edge, when like you see all these pictures, they're just so family orientated, and it's like, okay, I wrestle, love wrestling, but kind of I'm getting into that point in my life where I'm in my prime. I still want to be around my kids and my wife, and it's tough. I don't want to see him go, man. He's done such a cracking job, like especially from probably about January to now, of just breathing something different into SmackDown. Do you know what I mean? Like he said himself, like the Edge and Roman stuff would have been great going into WrestleMania on its own if they would have built a good story, and it would have been fine. But Brian acted as like the anchor of that story in the end. It was odd. Like he kind of grounded everything. Like he gave everything stakes. He kind of gave Edge a reason to snap. He gave Roman a reason to kind of be desperate. As much as he says he wasn't needed, he kind of was to up the stakes. So it's when you've got that kind of player in your ranks, you want to keep him and keep throwing him in there with people like Cesaro to help him get over, and anybody in Raw who maybe does need to get over, and all these guys next to you like Pete Dunne, those two together, you get him on a different level. That's the greedy wrestling fan in me wanting that. Yeah. But the human in me is thinking, well, he's gonna go. This is probably as big a Daniel Bryan way of doing it. Universal Championship match in the main event. Loser leaves town. Yeah, that's the way it's going, isn't it?
At the same time with that as well, it's like the whole reasoning behind him like coming back in the first place after his injury was like it got taken away from him. It's that old thing of happens to I think any wrestler that has it taken away from them rather than them going out on their own terms. There's always that little part of them that's like, oh my god, I need to get back in to do this. Like maybe he has got back in to do this and he's okay with that now and he's like come to terms with it and now he's got his family and other things going on in his life. Maybe that is just a change in heart and he's got it out of his system almost. But then he's sort of the perennial guy who just absolutely loves wrestling. And how can he step away? There's so many things going into this that I just can't call. But if it does mean he goes off Smackdown, whatever that means, whether it means going to Raw or NXT or just having some time off, imagine the heat that Roman Reigns will get from kicking Daniel Bryan out of WWE.
Well, that's it. And one of the only real shining lights in this, saving graces of it, is the fact that if he's out of the picture, frees up a spot. Maybe at the top. He's not like clinging onto a spot that's pushing anyone down by any means, but yeah, it does do that. Like the landscape has to shift. Cesaro could maybe go into that. Like other people like Shinsuke Nakamura, maybe threatening to get into that main event scene for a bit. He's gone.
They're also never going to get that Edge versus Daniel Bryan match.
Never say never. Edge is a free agent for me. I don't think he's on SmackDown.
If Daniel Bryan wins, then you could do Edge versus Daniel Bryan, whatever.
No, but then Roman's going to kill everyone, Phil. Got to think about the long-term future of this show. He's going to kill everyone. I love it though because I'm so excited for next week now. This is what I want from my wrestling.
100%. Like who knew? Like it's been a while since I think we've had a bit of a cliffhanger that's kind of this big, of this much of oh my god, I want to see next week's show right now. And why? Why is that the case? It makes no sense. It's TV 101 that you have a series, you want people to watch the next episode of the series, you end on a big question mark that makes people want to answer that by watching the next show. It's really, really, really simple, and WWE haven't done it for a long, long time.
I'm intrigued to see what the ratings are going to be for next week. I'm so intrigued, because I think that'll be a massive factor. If they do well off the back of a cliffhanger, it'll be like, maybe
it's cliffhanger. It's advertising a huge match. They've already advertised another big championship match as well with the IC title match. The sort of rematch is nowhere near as big, obviously. But like two big matches that you're advertising ahead of time and ending a show with a cliffhanger can only surely do good things to the ratings. And I hope it does that and proves it, and then WWE do more of this going forward.
Yeah, that's the dream, Phil. That's the dream.
Indeed. So that was the Smackdown Review podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Please do give us a subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever it is that you happen to get your podcast from. And leave us a 5-star review while you're there as well. Put a smile on Adam Wilborn's face. He doesn't love doing that. Or you can follow us, that's a thing. On Twitter. Twitter is also a thing. At Phil My Chambers is my thing on that Twitter that is a thing. Gareth, what's your thing on that Twitter that's a thing?
My thing on the Twitter thing is GMorgan04 thing.
I'm good at podcast things. You can also follow all of us at What Culture WWE. But yeah, most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
Bye thing.
Ability card activate.
me down. Come on.
open! Ability card activate! Let's do this, Leonidas. Gate card set! Ability card activate! Ability card activate!
Come on.
Ability card activate.
3272 message from messages. Cancel.
God damn, I give up.
Screen up and a reflector, which would
What are you doing? Oh, God. What are you doing? She'll be down here at 3:30. She'll be down here at 3:30. Why? God. God damn. She'll be down to 3:30. God. What?
Ability card activate.
Oh my God, I give up with you. bullshit.